welcome back to DSR. This one's going to be on the latest UA that we got on the it's Villainous options update or revisited. We got the three subclasses and some feats, and we're just going to jump right into it. Okay, so I'm not going to do the usual intro or outro kind of stuff because I'm kind of pressed for time today, and I didn't want to delay this another day. And so if you're not familiar, the point of these community revision videos is the idea is that we work together, come up with some changes and tweaks we feel need to be made, compromise, that's the hardest part, about the changes we want made, because it's basically never occurs that everyone agrees on what the changes should be. At least not all of the changes. It's pretty frequent that a few of the changes everybody agrees on. So we try to compromise, figure out this, and then we kind of agree on a compromise that we're all happy enough with. And then the idea is this is all written up here in the DSR data Google sheet that's linked in the Google Drive, that's linked in the video descriptions. And you can copy and paste these pieces of text right into the survey for the feedback survey. So you can give feedback to WotC on these things. It takes a long time to fill out the survey, but if you just copy and paste out of here, then it takes you like less than 5 minutes. So it's actually pretty convenient. And of course, you don't have to copy paste. This is to help. I'm not trying to boss anybody around or tell anybody that this is what you have to do, right? And of course, you can also just like copy paste the ones you like, and then the things you disagree with, go ahead and say whatever you want, right? Just always keep in mind that the more that we agree on and the more of us that say the same thing, the more likely they are to listen. If we all say different things, it's all just going to be noise to them. All right, so we're jumping into the Titan. This is going to be the first one. And for some reason, while the PDF goes down, the way I organize these in this Google Sheet goes up. So when you see it in the Google Sheet, just know that the Titan is at the bottom, and we go in reverse order here. So the problems to solve was the Titan forms need to be more differentiated. The Leviathan form is too weak. There's no real meaningful feature until level 10. The huge plus size requirement on the level 10 and 14 features is overly limiting, especially since, frankly, just a lot of the time you're indoors, and indoors are not very conducive to huge and larger sized creatures. Like a large sized creature can squeeze through a medium sized door as difficult terrain. Huge sized creatures cannot pass through a medium sized door or hallway at all. They'd have to break it, right? And then the Swallow concentration locks the Druid out of concentrating on any other spell, which is a huge price to pay as a full caster. Like that's one of the main reasons concentrating on spells is one of the main reasons you are a caster, right? It's the same problem as the Ranger base class favorite enemy, which is that's pushing you to take Hunter's Mark. And Hunter's Mark is a fine spell. It's not a bad spell. It just requires concentration, and having your base class features require that you use this other concentration spell, locks you out of every other concentration spell available to Rangers. So yes, we got to solve that problem. All right, so I'm gonna try to have the feature up on the right hand side so you can see this as we talk about it. So level 3 Titan spells. Some of these Titan spells don't make sense. Enlarge, reduce. Maybe it allows you to get a little bigger size sooner, or you could like use it to reduce your size. I mean, there's no point in reducing your size. I mean, I guess you could. You can already choose between large, huge, and gargantuan. Okay, so you could choose large and then cast reduce on yourself, and now you're medium and you can fit in other spaces. But you're now a medium-sized Titan. I don't know. I don't think it fits well. Thunderwave is kind of thematic, but not a very good spell. It's only good at like level 1. And by the way, you are right a frontliner at least as a Titan Druid, right? The main use for Thunderwave is to push people away so you can get away, right? You're stuck in melee and you don't want to be in melee, so you push them back and then you get away. The Titan Druid doesn't care to do that. They want to be in melee. They want you to be next to them. So instead, let's give him a smite, and I think Thunder Smite works. Yes, that will potentially knock one creature back, but you don't have to, right? You can choose if they're knocked back. It also knocks them prone, and you benefit from knocking people prone. And it just weaponizes your spell slots. It's not the strongest smite spell as far as damage goes, which I don't think you should have, right? I think that the Paladin should be preserved as the only one that ever has Divine Smite for sure. They should have the highest damage dealing smite. That should be reserved for Paladins only. But I think Thunder Smite is okay to give this Druid. Arcane Vigor, they can heal themselves. That gives them a way to heal themselves while in Titan form. And then Guardian of Nature, I proposed that last time. It gives you, I think I've only seen a player cast it once, and it's actually quite a good spell. It gives you advantage on attack rolls with dexterity, wisdom, or strength-based attacks. It gives you a bunch of other cool features, some temporary hit points, which that part won't work well with the Titan Druid, but every other feature you get does work well. Like you can cause difficult terrain in a 15-foot radius around you, but only for enemies. It doesn't affect your allies. Like there's some good stuff. So yeah, let's put those on your spell list. And yes, that does give you like one more than you had before, and I don't care. I don't care. I mean, we're getting thaumaturgy, so we have the exact same number as the Moon Druid right now, but the Moon Druids get Starry Wisp, which is a ranged attack. Like the Starry Wisp is better than thaumaturgy. Thaumaturgy is cool and thematic. It can replicate you like roaring as a Titan, roar, but that would be for roleplay only while you're a Titan, or if you want to scare people, I guess. Next change is the rend attack on all of the Titan forms. So I'll kind of scroll down here to the Titan forms and just change it and say that that these are considered an attack with your strength or your wisdom, right? And that's specifically so that Guardian of Nature, it has two forms. One is a strength-based only advantage attacks. The other one is dexterity and wisdom. So that way you can say you'll still use your spell attack modifier, but the attack will be treated as you are using your strength or using your wisdom. You choose. And it doesn't matter which one you choose because they're the same, right? Your Titan form changes your strength to be equal to your wisdom. So that just lets Guardian of Nature work. I know that's a little extra work, but Guardian of Nature is a highly underutilized spell, and it works really well on the Titan Druid. Give me advantage on all their attack rolls. I mean, so does Prone, but I don't know. If that all gets thrown out, that's not going to make me cry. The next part would make me cry. All right, so the Leviathan form literally has nothing except a swim speed and the ability to breathe water from levels 3 to 9. Like that's all it has. It has no other interesting features that the other two don't have, plus something else, right? Same damage, same hit points, same temp HP, same movement speed, except it has a swim speed, right? The insectoid form has the healing, energizing pollen, and the behemoth just gets the most stuff, right? Incandescent breath, rampager at level, 10. It has a climb speed. So the Leviathan is just, it needs some stuff to make it interesting. So for the Leviathan, the idea here is let's give it blind sight and then give it a feature right at level 3 that it can expend a spell slot as a bonus action, right? The Rampager, the Behemoth gets Rampager, which is its bonus action to expend a spell slot, and it also has an action to expend a spell slot, so it has both. So we're going to give this one an ability to expend a spell slot to cast Fog Cloud, and then you'll benefit from your blind sight. And then change Toxic Deluge to be 2d8 acid damage, which should make it a decent damage dealing effect. The 2d4 poison damage is just ridiculous. I don't know who came up with that number per spell slot, and give it a dex save instead of a constitution save. But I didn't remove the poison condition. So if you fail, you'll still be poisoned. And I think that works, right? It's toxic, it's acidic, and it's going to burn, and that also poisons you. It doesn't have to be poison damage to cause the poison condition. I know that's usually done, but I think this works fine. So that'll be the Leviathan form. And then the insect form is a little bit weak at level 3 since they took away the fly speed that they used to have at level 3. So it still has that energizing pollen, but now you're like a caterpillar running around pollinizing things. Like it's just weird. So I decided, like, wouldn't it be cool? Like, okay, I guess they've, enough people complained that a fly speed at level 3 was too much. Frankly, I thought it was fine. Fly speed's nice. It has never been OP in any of my sessions ever. It's never broken the game, not once. In fact, a lot of times it's not even very useful. All right. So anyway, since they've apparently sided with people on that one, what if we gave it a jump speed? So you've got like grasshopper legs kind of thing, not a jump speed. Give you the ability to cast jump as your bonus action by expending a spell slot. So that way you, have a bonus action thing to do at third level. You also have a way to expend a spell slot, right? Like the Behemoth has 2 ways to expend a spell slot. So you're getting a second way, and this one allows you to just cast jump, so you have more mobility, so you're kind of partially more mobile than the others, right? You can jump higher, you can get to higher places. That felt thematic. And then it feels like this one, since it's a healer, or it has the ability to heal, I don't know if that's the main use of the insectoid, but this is kind of like a party support thing, right? So it can heal. Let's give it sap. Sap is a good party support feature, right? You're hitting, everything you hit is now sapped and has disadvantage on the first tackle. That felt right for the insectoid. So the insectoid rends will have essentially the sap mastery feature from weapon mastery. Level 6, Dire Impact. Change nothing, leave it. Level 10, Primal Havoc. So we'll scroll up to that. Toughened Hide, just remove the size restriction, right? It says you have to be huge or bigger to get that, to be able to do that. Unnecessary, take it off. All right. There will be times when you have to choose large simply because of the restrictions of the battlefield, and you shouldn't be penalized for that. So remove the size restriction. Above it all, just remove the terrain restrictions, right? Like ignoring difficult terrain is not important enough that we need to restrict that, right? Like the speedy feat can allow you, when you dash, take the dash action, allow you to ignore difficult terrain. And there's like other feats and other spells that do this kind of thing. This is a level 10 feature. Just say you always ignore all types of difficult terrain and magical difficult terrain and all kinds of, I don't care. Just ignore difficult terrain. That's good enough. That's fine. That is not too strong. And then we're going to add a feature at this level, but only for the Leviathan and the Insectoid, to have them keep up with the Behemoth a little better, right? Because the Behemoth at level 10 gets Rampager, which interacts with the prone condition that you can cause as part of your shockwave from your level 6 dire impact, right? But the other two don't have any direct benefit or don't have any additional benefit from the prone condition, right? Yes, everybody benefits from like knocking them prone because you have advantage on your melee attacks while you're adjacent, or on your attacks while adjacent, not necessarily just melee attacks. But yes, the Behemoth gets an extra benefit. So I just felt like the Insectoid and the Leviathan should have an extra benefit as well. And that extra benefit is going to be they can make a rend attack as a bonus action against a prone target. Kind of like the trample feature that like elephants and mammoths and rhinoceroses and animal beast stat blocks like that have, where they can knock you down. And then if you are prone, then they can bonus action make another attack against you. Felt right. It's a nice little bonus. And yes, it still comes at the expense of something, right? Because both of them also got these other bonus action things they can be doing. And you're going to have to decide between those bonus action things and this bonus action thing. So it's not just a free extra attack all the time. It comes at the cost of something, right? Because it's of the action economy. Monstrous Appetite. The grappling thing has a size restriction, which is you have to be huge or larger. Let's just remove that. And because, and we'll just leave it. I don't think we need to say that you have to be huge to grapple. Just leave it as the normal grappling rules, which is you can only grapple things up to one size larger than you. Okay, so if you are large, then you can grapple huge. And if you're huge, you can grapple gargantuan. I think that's sufficient. So just remove the size restriction there. Unnecessary, get rid of it. Swallow. All right, this one's requires a little bit more changes. But this one has that requirement that you can only, while you are gargantuan, you can only swallow things that are large and smaller. Okay, so let's remove the size restriction and change it to you can only swallow things that are 2 sizes smaller than you. So if you are gargantuan, you can swallow large and smaller. If you're huge, you can swallow medium-sized. And if you're large, you could swallow small. Yeah, that gives you more flexibility and doesn't, again, require you to be gargantuan all the time. It'll be fun to do that when you have space for it, but we don't want this whole subclass to be crippled when you're indoors. Okay, and then the next part of swallow changes we're going to make is specifically state that you can concentrate on a druid spell while also having a creature swallowed. It doesn't prevent or do anything to prevent you from concentrating on spells. However, if you are forced to make a concentration save while concentrating on swallow and concentrating on a spell, you lose, and you fail the save, you lose both. It's still one concentration save, you just lose both. So you're allowed, so it doesn't prevent you from casting another spell, but the punishment for failing that concentration save is now essentially double. You're going to lose the spell and the swallow. So you're not locked out of like all of your druid spells that are really, I mean, you're still a druid first and you're a titan second. So you shouldn't be locked out of all of these cool features, all of these cool spells that are the keystone of your class, just to use your capstone subclass feature. Yeah, I don't think this is powerful enough to do that. So that's the recommendation there. You can see I've got the letter counts out here, so these should all fit because each of the fields on this feedback survey only allow 500 characters. So if you add these up, they should all still fit into the feedback survey. And of course, don't enter anything for dire impact unless you have a change you want to make, because I have no changes. And the community I work with on my Discord server and the comments from other people in the videos, we didn't come up with anything. If you have different thoughts on this, yeah, you can make comments in the video. If you want to like discuss it, that's just infinitely easier on Discord. So I would encourage you to join my Discord, have a channel dedicated to discussing each of these pieces of content for the UA. Where you can discuss it not just with me. That's also the problem with comments in YouTube. It's pretty much just me reading those and responding. If you want other people to get involved and discuss your topic, it's just a lot better in Discord. So join the Discord, and join the discussion with everybody. All right, let's move on to the Hell Knight Fighter. This, I think all three of these are exciting. I have never rated anything from WotC's UAs as red, like throw this away, don't do it. Like I see the potential in everything, even the Tattooed Monk, right? It had a lot of problems, but it was a cool idea, and I think it had potential. So I rank it yellow. You should, and just give them all these suggestions on here's how you should tweak it to make it better, not throw it away and don't try it. Like, I don't know. I've never seen anything where I just felt like throw it away, don't. I mean, at least from WotC. I've never seen anything from WotC where I felt like throw it away, don't try it. Okay, Hell Knight Fighter. This one's greatly improved. There's just some stuff that at high levels is weak or clunky, and potentially abusable, but only if you optimize it a certain way. And I don't think that's right. Like, you shouldn't need to specifically optimize something, combining it with these other feats and things like that to make it good. It should be good on its own, easy to understand how it functions, and solid, right? It should be apparent to everyone. Here's how this thing works. Here's why it's good. Here's how you use it. So we're going to solve some of those problems, but we have nothing to add on levels 3 and 7. Like, all 5 of those features, nailed it. Good job. So let's move on to the level 10 feature. This is the first one we have some suggestions for, which is Hellfire Surge. And this is the one where when you take action surge for the rest of that turn and until the end of your next turn, whenever a creature rolls the infernal wound die for the start of their turn damage, it's rolled twice instead of once, which is like really limiting. So the only change here we're suggesting is, yeah, we're actually going to change it to any time the infernal wound die is rolled for any reason during that duration, it's 2 instead of 1. So instead of being limited only to the damage they take at the start of their turn while they have an infernal wound, it's going to apply to your Devil's Misfortune feature that you get later. It's going to apply to the initial damage you do and to that recurring damage. It's going to apply to all 3 of those things. So yeah, that's the change. Make it just a little bit more meaningful. I think as is, the Hellfire Surge is like really, I mean, I think we kind of all agreed it was really underwhelming and completely disappointing for a level 10 feature. And I think this puts it at, and it's not because the damage is increased, essentially doubled by doing this. It's more that you have twice the chance to roll the special rolls for everything, right? You have twice the chance of rolling the special roll for Devil's Misfortune. You have twice the chance of rolling the special rolls for Advanced Wounds. And yes, the damage is doubled. So now your average damage from that is not 3.5, it's 7. But only for 2 rounds, or 2 of your turns, and all the rounds in between those 2 turns, only when you action surge. So it's not very often that you're doing this. It's, which you're doing once per short rest until you reach level 17, and then it's twice per short rest. Like, you're not doing it a lot. Level 15, Devil's Misfortune. Leave it as is, because it is enhanced by the change we made to level 10. So leave it as is, remove the reaction requirement. So no reaction at all, and just change it to say you can only do this once per round. And that's not how you would say it. What you would say is once you do this, you can't do it again until the start of your next turn. That's how you would say it. That's just more text, and I didn't want to write it all out, and we're trying to keep this as short and simple as possible. So we'll say, make it once per round. WotC should interpret it as, right at the normal convention, the normal way, the convention you have for that kind of a thing. So just remove the reaction. Should be good enough. Nice, simple change. And then Infernal Bargain. This one was hotly debated. Pretty hotly debated. People got heated. I got a little heated, a little irritated. And yes, I am still human. I am, in fact, not undead or a construct. So, all right. And I don't think we achieved consensus on this one. So it's a little bit of like yeah. So I kind of just am taking a shot here, which is we're going to remove gaining heroic inspiration from this and all the references to heroic inspiration. Just this has no interaction. This whole level 18, no interaction with heroic inspiration, gone. I mean, you still can get heroic inspiration, but not from this. This just has nothing to do with heroic inspiration now. And then change it to be a resource that you can use. That is, you can use a Constitution modifier times per long rest, because you have other things like your infernal wounds is Constitution modifiers per short rest. So you have already had a reason to be raising your Constitution modifier. I know some people are like, oh no, giving them a secondary ability score is a problem. Not with fighters, guys. Fighters get 6 feats plus their epic boon. Okay, more than everyone else. And so it is not too hard at all for fighters to max out their strength or dex and their Constitution, which you kind of want to do anyway. Like, it just gives you more hit points, raise your Constitution saving throws. So you're fine with this. It's okay. So it's going to be Constitution modifiers per long rest. That removes the abusability. It makes it straightforward, like how many times am I going to be able to do this? It also simplifies the usage at game time, like at run time while you're playing the game. Yes, I know some people are like, no, that should be easy. I guarantee you players will struggle with this. Players struggle with far simpler things than this. And I don't mean every single player, but most players struggle with far simpler things than this. And at level 18, I think everyone would struggle with this. Not because this one thing is just too difficult for anyone to understand. It's that you have a billion features at level 18 and you're struggling to maintain and juggle all of them. That is the biggest player problem for players at high level is you just have so many features now, you have a hard time tracking them all. And I constantly see it, and I've only ever seen a single player who handled that well out of 500 that I've played with. And many of them are optimizers. I'm not saying these are not good players. These are good players, and I'm not criticizing. I struggle with it too. So I don't even consider myself that one. I'm in the group of, yeah, I struggled with stuff. I was a 17th level cleric in my last campaign where I was a player. I struggled with tracking all my stuff, even just all my spells, okay? It happens to everyone. This is too complicated to run at the table when you're level 18. Yeah, 99% of the time that will be the case. Okay, so we're going to simplify it and then change the trigger to be clear, which is the trigger will now say when a creature succeeds or fails a d20 test, then you do this thing. Instead of when they roll a d20 for a d20 test, and technically the way they worded it, you would have to declare the re-roll before you see the result of whether or not they failed or succeeded. So it would be when they decided to roll or while it's rolling, but before you saw the result, you would have to declare the re-roll, which doesn't make a lot of sense. So we're going to change the trigger to be clear, which is, like I said, when a creature succeeds or fails a d20 test. So it's super, super clear that this is meant to work on anything. And yes, also not just on nat 20s or anything else like that. It works on any roll. And that way, when allies fail, you could use this to help them. And when enemies succeed, you could use this to hurt them. So you can use it both ways. All right, that's the Hell Knight. Let's move on to the Demonic Sorcerer. This one got better in some ways and worse in some ways. So let's jump into it. Like balance and quality of life. That is not how you spell quality. There you go. Adjustments. Demonic Lash. Let's add some scaling to it, but let's make it simple. So Demonic Lash will do 1d8 plus your Charisma modifier. So it just has a little bit of scaling. It's going to start off a little stronger, 1d8 plus 3 at level 3, and scale up to 1d8 plus 6 or 1d8 plus 5 or 6, depending on how many epic boons you get and magic items. And Terrifying Screams, that definitely needs some scaling. I kicked around a couple of different ideas. This is the one I ended up on, which is we're going to leave the save. We're going to exclude you and demons of your choice. So you can exclude, yes, later when you can summon demons, you can exclude them from the damage here, but only you and demons of your choice. So your allies are still susceptible, so you probably should still try to tell your allies to stay out of your rupture. And then increase the damage because 1d4 is not even worth the time to make all those saving throws. So it's going to be a number of d4s equal to your Charisma modifier. Okay, so this is kind of similar to the Sea Druids bonus action wave thing. I forget what that's called. Where they get a number of d8s equal to their Wisdom modifier, but theirs is a single target. So this can be a number of d4s equal to your Charisma modifier, multi-target. And that feels like a fair trade-off, right? Like this is going to start out at 7.5 damage on average and cap out at 10.5. No, 12.5. Yeah. So it is going to be half, almost half, a little more than half of what the Sea Druid can do. And yes, the Sea Druid can do that for 10 minutes, and you're going to be able to do this for the duration of your innate sorcery, 1 minute. So the Sea Druid can do that longer than you can. Okay, so I felt like the closest similar feature, and yeah, so that felt like the right amount of scaling. And note that this is save for no damage, just like the Sea Druids save for no damage as well. So I left that. All right, our demonic spells. Yes, we're going to propose changes once again here, which is remove Bane, remove Bestow Curse, remove Hallucinatory Terrain, and remove Modify Memory. Add Fog Cloud, Stinking Cloud, Confusion, and Cloud Kill. Yes, I know Hallucinatory Terrain and like creating like a abyss diorama is a cool idea. Why would you do that in game? Like, what is the scenario? Like, you want to just make it look abyssal and so people don't go there? Maybe, I guess. Like, like if that has come up in one of your actual gameplays, not that theoretical situation, I'm talking about that situation where that would have made sense has come up in your actual game. I want to hear about it. Okay. But otherwise, hallucinatory terrain is just a hard to use thing. It's a 10-minute cast, right? You've got to know well in advance people are coming. and you're going to do something about it that might be useful with hallucinatory terrain. So, all right. So what we're adding is fog, cloud, stinking cloud, confusion, and cloud kill. Well, there's a reason we're adding all those. We're going to do something with all these fog spell or cloud spells. And then the confusion spell just makes way more sense, right? The confusion of the chaos of the abyss. They had that, I think, in the first UA where they had the confusion spell. I think that makes more sense than hallucinatory terrain. They swapped out the confusion spell and gave you giant insect. Turning a insect, little insect into this giant gross insect is feels abyssal thematic, and so I think that's a better fit than hallucinatory terrain. So that's why I'm saying get rid of hallucinatory terrain. Let's do confusion. All right, so level 6 abyssal realm, and we're going to leave everything as is and just add the cloud effect, which is when you cast fog cloud, stinky cloud, or cloud kill, specifically those 3 spells that we put on your spell list, you can make the target point the center of the abyssal rupture. The spell effect now moves with the abyssal rupture, overriding any potential movement effect of the spell. So that means your stinking cloud and cloud kill will not move at the end of their turns. They are going to be stuck and centered on the abyssal realm, or the abyssal rupture. And on top of that, when you move your abyssal rupture, the cloud effect will move with it. That way you can be obscuring things when you want to inside your abyssal realm right at level 3 with fog cloud. Level 5, you can raise the ante and make it a stinking cloud, so not just obscure it, but also incapacitating creatures inside of it with your stinking cloud. And when you're level 9, you could be killing creatures inside your abyssal realm as you move it around with cloud kill. So I think that that's some cool synergy with the area effect hazard you create with abyssal realm or abyssal rupture, adding these battlefield hazard cloud effects on top of that. But there is a slight issue with the obscurement. And if you can't see through the obscurement, then you can't see the point to place that you want to move your abyssal rupture to, right? Because you can move your abyssal rupture, but it says you can only move it to a location you can see. So if you want to move it 10 feet over, you can't do that. And so they're going to add this next line, which is if the cloud effect causes light or heavy obscurement, which they all do, you can see through it while moving the abyssal rupture. Some people felt it was too strong to just say let you see through it all the time. Like, wow, that gives you essentially blind sight, kind of the shadow sorcerers thing, which is fair. So in this case, it's just you can see through it only when you move it, or a different, equivalent wording, right? Like maybe you just ignore the fact that you no longer need to see this point or something like that while it's obscured by one of your spells. I don't know. That's the wording I've got right now, just so that it doesn't limit you in moving it. And then add one other thing, and we had to edit it at level 6. I mean, it made more sense at like level 9, but you don't get a subclass feature at level 9. So at level 6, we're adding this text that says, when you cast Contact Other Plane, you automatically succeed on the save, because we've got Contact Other Plane on our spell list, and I think it makes sense, and it's cool, but you have to make an intelligence saving throw as part of that spell, or you are incapacitated, take psychic damage, and you're incapacitated for the whole day, and you don't get to ask any questions. And as a sorcerer, you probably have a lower intelligence score, and you're not proficient in intelligence saving throws, so you are going to fail that. And it's a DC 15 save, I think. Right? That just doesn't make sense. So you need a clause in here like the Warlock has. They get it at level 10 where they can cast Contact Other Plane for free. And Warlocks have the same problem as a sorcerer with that intelligence saving throw. And the Warlock class says you automatically succeed on save. So we're just going to add that here. It's a little awkward that we had to add it at level 6, but that's what we got. Abyssal Conduit. Okay, the Fiendish Servant. All right, the problem with this is that it limits you to the demon version, which I get is thematic, and I like that. But the demon version is literally the worst summon, not of just these three creatures you can summon with the Summon Fiend, but it's the worst summon of any summon in the whole game. Summon Beast, the land beast, has the same number of hit points, 1 less AC, does more damage than the demon, because the beast has pack tactics. Or you could do Summon Beast for the fly version with Flyby. It'll have almost as many hit points as this demon, but it'll have a fly speed and flyby, right? Like it's literally the worst summon in the game. The only reason that Summon Fiend isn't just a terrible spell is the fact that you can summon Devil, and that Devil has a massive 150-foot range plus fly speed. And then the Yugoloth, I've never even seen anybody use that. Like every time I've seen anyone cast Summon Fiend, they've always used Summon Devil because it is by far the best version of all 3 of these. So locking you into the worst one that is also the worst summon in the whole game just doesn't feel great for your level 14 feature. So we're going to enhance the Fiendish Servant by giving it, whenever it hits, it automatically causes the poison condition until the end of the target's next turn. And finally, Abyssal Explosion. Frankly, everybody felt pretty good about what I recommended in the first video, just shooting from the hip on the change there, which is we're going to add half damage on a successful save. So it'll still do 8d6 force damage, but half damage on a successful save, and reduce the cost to recharge it to 5 sorcery points. So yes, this is the same damage as casting Fireball at 3rd level, but this is your level 18 feature, right? So you're doing the same damage as a Fireball. It's a better damage type, so that's a little better. It's not going to be less because you still have the half damage on a success, and it also causes the incapacitated condition. Okay, so that's really what's making this better than just being able, like your capstone being something that just says you cast Fireball once a day. Like that's ridiculous. And definitely that's even with the incapacitated condition, I'm not sure that's worth 7 sorcery points. So yeah, 5 sorcery points, half damage on a successful save. There's the idea there. All right, we'll move on to the feats that we got in this packet. We got 4 origin feats, 4 epic boons, and same kind of thing. Balance and quality of life. I still apparently have struggled with typos on the word quality. Atoner's Grace. Yes, the disarming mean has a value, right? Like in the sense that it will stack with advantage, right? If you just gave advantage on a charisma checks all the time, that would cancel out the disadvantage from the hostile attitude, and then you still do a straight roll, which is the same net effect as this, except that if you have advantage from another source and this one removes disadvantage in that situation, now you are still rolling with advantage even though they're hostile. Okay, so instead of just saying you have advantage all the time, I'm going to leave disarming mean as is, and we're just going to add that you get a proficiency, right? This is such a small scenario of using persuasion in the scenario of that while they are hostile towards you is pretty rare case, to be honest. Like at least in my experience. Okay, maybe other people have different experiences. So let's just give you a proficiency, and the idea, of course, would be that you would choose persuasion first. In fact, it could be even worded that says that you gain proficiency with persuasion, but if you already have it, then you can choose acrobatics, insight, or performance instead. I just wanted the simple route and just said you can choose from all 4, and of course, since you have a feature that gives you a benefit with persuasion, you would choose that if you don't have it. And frankly, I think persuasion is probably the best one of these 4 anyway. But yeah, so you can choose one of those, and those all have to do with grace. I thought, graceful acrobatics, grace, you have insight, you're a graceful artist performing. So those all felt thematic to me. Parlay, just way too strong, right? Because you could also choose yourself and every ally around you, and there's rogues and bards who can both disengage as a bonus action. So you put these on a rogue, sorry, not bards, rogues and monks. So you can just put this on a rogue or a monk. They can, without any resource expenditure, disengage as a bonus action every single turn, right? And it doesn't matter if somebody's next to them. They would give themselves and anyone adjacent to them every round for all of time advantage on every saving throw and every ability check. That is ridiculous. Okay. And I don't think it's like really in line with what they meant either. So we'll correct the spelling there and also change this to just replace the whole thing. So it says when you take the disengage or influence action, you also take the help action as part of that action. So you can take the help action to help one person adjacent, not yourself, with their next ability check or attack roll. Now, if you're going to do the attack roll, you also have to be next. You have to be adjacent to the target, not your ally. And I felt that the help action kind of brought in all of the correct mitigators to this issue. So yes, I know that some people were really looking forward to abusing parlay and being overpowered. I think this brings it in line with what it should be as an origin feat. This is not an epic boon. We could leave it as is if it was an epic boon, maybe. Even then, I think it's OP for an epic boon. Raised by cultists, somebody brought up a very good point that in a lot of scenarios, like your allies are going to have Warcaster if they're a spellcaster. And if they have Warcaster, then this part of the feat does nothing, which means it might be valuable for you levels 1 to 3, and at level 4, when everybody starts getting Warcaster, your origin feat now does nothing. And that's fair. So instead of saying, and what they had proposed, is let's just add your proficiency bonus instead of giving the advantage. What I say is let's leave it as is and add the next line, which is if your ally already has advantage on that save, they gain a bonus equal to your proficiency bonus. That way, if they don't yet have Warcaster for some reason, then they can still have the advantage. And if they do have Warcaster, they get another benefit on top of that. It takes your reaction to give this to them. So I think that's still okay, right? Like this is going to make it so that whoever is the spellcasters on the back row, they're going to want to camp out next to you. You're like the support bastion character of the back row. Yeah. And I think that's cool. All right. Trapper, this one was fine, except for the whole trap expert one, just the fact that the hunting trap and placing it as a bonus action, and the fact that you're supposed to like ground the chain to something as part of that bonus action was all unclear, and how's your DM going to rule it and all those kind of things like that. So let's just clarify all that. So what we're going to do is add that you can set the chain of the trap as part of the action in qualifying terrain, and that action is the bonus action, right? So you can set the chain as well as part of that action, just to make it totally clear that you can do that. And then in that clause about in qualifying terrain, so if it's soft enough ground, you can like lay a spike. If it's a tree, you can spike it to a tree, all as part of that bonus action. You're that good, right? And if it's terrain that doesn't qualify, so you can't fix the other end of the chain in place, then the trap still works, and the creature's movement is just halved instead of being limited to the distance of the chain, so that it still does something if you're not in qualifying terrain. So I think that makes it good. Then underhanded, elusive's fine. Fight dirty, I thought is actually pretty okay. Let's just remove that requirement that you must have a hand free. That's just too limiting, right? Like, why can't you fight dirty with your foot or an elbow or something like that? And some people thought that provoking the opportunity attack was too narrow, but really the use case of this is you intentionally provoke that opportunity attack. You're not waiting for it to just happen on you. You step away from them on purpose to provoke the opportunity attack. You're planning to make them miss. This doesn't help them miss you, but the speedy feat does. So maybe you combine this with a speedy feat, right? Those have a great synergy. And then you intentionally provoke the opportunity attack, and then when they miss, you knock them down. Yeah, so I think it works fine. We're just going to remove that requirement to have a hand free, so that more builds can make benefit of this. Like, as is basically going to be only usable for like rogues and monks. Like, everybody else is going to have their hands full. All right, let's move on to the epic boons. Bandit King. I felt like Dastardly Charm is a cool idea, but not nearly powerful enough to limit it to once per short rest or long rest. Instead, I want to flip the limiter. So instead of limiting how many times you can use it, it's now infinite use. Nothing is preventing you from using it every single round. The limiter is you can only use it on the same creature once per day. That's it. So you can do it on 10 different creatures in 10 different rounds, or as often as you can, do a sleight of hand check. But you can only do it on the same creature once a day. And that felt like the right balance. That way, if you're in a city and you're like going around in all these different social situations, you can keep using it. But what you can't do is keep using it on the same creature and like mind control them all day long, basically, which is what would happen if we allowed you to do this on the same creature all day long. All right, so that's the fix there. Cleansed Heart. I think this one's pretty good. It's just abusable for people like, oh, I'm going to have my ally, or I'm going to hit myself with necrotic damage just to trigger this constantly. That's not the intention, and I don't think that's a fun play style. I know some people theoretically like, oh, that sounds super cool. I do not think that would be fun in play. I've seen those kind of tactics attempted to be used in gameplay. It's not cool. It's not fun. It's not a fun fantasy. It's not fun to watch. It's not fun to be part of. Like, all of those shenanigans that players try to do to it's like essentially a bag of rats type of shenanigan. And yes, the Dungeon Master's Guide in Chapter 1 says one of the base rules of the game is DM don't let them use things that are intended for combat against other player characters or trivial innocent creatures just to trigger a feature, right? So that excludes bag of rats shenanigans already. Chapter 1 of the 2024 Player's Handbook, 2024 Dungeon Master's Guide. As far as I'm concerned, that prevents this, but let's just make it explicit. And the change is this can only be triggered by effects from enemies. Specifically, must be an enemy. Can't be an ally, can't be an innocent. It must be an enemy. Okay? All right, Hunter's Eye on the Epic Boon. All right, so quick capture. The intention of this one is clear, that it's just making it easier for you to non-lethally knock somebody out so that you could capture them. But of course, many people immediately went to, well, I'll just say I'm going to try to non-lethally knock them out now, and once they're unconscious or at 0 hit points, then I followed up with a fireball and kill them. So they're abusing the intention to kill them faster. And that's not what this is meant to do. So I think we swap it to say, just replace the whole thing. So it says, when you deal non-lethal damage with a melee attack, if the target has 20 or fewer hit points after your damage is dealt, the target does not drop to 0 hit points. Instead, the target has the unconscious condition unless it takes any damage. So that way they're not getting a free, like you burned up 20 more hit points of them for free, but you are getting them unconscious, which is what the dropping to 0 hit points would do. Right. And if you non-lethally hit somebody and dropped into 0, they would automatically be stabilized. So this is the exact same effect without the abusability of getting past that last 20 hit points on every single monster. All right. And then Unwavering Devotion. Yeah, you know what? I didn't have great ideas for this one. I think the see-through illusions, I talked myself into a place which is if somebody casts a phantasmal spell on you, because the phantasmal spells make it so that only you see something, but you're seeing the thing, and this says a visual illusion. So if you're seeing a thing that is an illusion to you, then this should trigger, and you should see through the phantasmal force, the phantasmal killer, all those phantasm spells. I think there's just 2 right now. There might be others that work like that. So yeah, let me know if you have ideas on changes you think we need for Unwavering Devotion, but we didn't have any suggested. So we're gonna leave that one as is for this one. And remember, I'll do revision 2 in the next 5 days or so. We've got 2 weeks. We've got basically 10 days, 10, 11 days at this point that the feedback survey is going to still be open. So we've got a little bit of time. So in the next 5 days, I'll try to do revision 2. So get all your feedback in or join the Discord and join the discussion, debate it with people. And then I'll do revision 2. And then we'll have several days of revision 2 sitting there for us and that'll be the last revision I plan to do, where we can then just take it, copy and paste and fill out your surveys and get it done so that we can help drive the direction of our future content for D&D, because friends, don't let friends let the banneret happen again. All right. That's it for this one. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.